Hello everyone, I am Arjun S. Meda, a senior developer evangelist with Automation Anywhere, and in this episode of BotStore Spotlight, I'm going to talk about one of the most popular packages in BotStore, that is Web Automation Package. This package enables developers to automate web interfaces by leveraging Selenium. It supports Chrome browser and the Edge browser, and it uses ChromeDriver and EdgeDriver under the hood. You can use JavaScript code to interact with various objects on the web page. And this package can be used as an alternate to the Recorder package. This package is available for you to download from the BotStore. Let's take a quick look at the package in the BotStore. Here is the Web Automation package on the BotStore. This is available for you to download free of cost. It includes all the details about how you can use this, and it also includes a README file which gives you specific instructions on how to use this package as well, which I'm going to cover in this session too. You'll also have a bunch of screenshots at the bottom to see how it kind of looks like, different actions, and you can use all of this. So to start with, let's try to understand how you can use different actions in this package and solve the challenge page of customer onboarding, which is used as a Bot Wars challenge page for this week. Let's take a quick look at the application which we are going to automate. So this is the customer onboarding challenge page which we have used in the Bot Wars challenge. As you can see here, this has a button using which you can download a file, and then there are a couple of text fields where you can enter data into it. There is a drop down here, and then there is a radio buttons and also a checkbox and a button at the end to submit the data whatever we have entered above. Let's switch to Automation 360. I've just created an empty bot here. Let's search for the Web Automation package. As you can see here, this has a list of actions which you can use to perform various kind of operations with the objects on the web pages. To start with, you have to use the action called start session, and that will establish the connection with all the subsequent actions you're going to use in this package, and at the end you can finish it off with end session once you're done using this package. Let's start with start session action. I'll drag and drop the start session here, and let's configure the properties. On the right side you will see a session name called default. Let's leave it as is. This session name is very important, especially when you are using multiple sessions. You have to ensure you use the same name in all the actions in this package. And we're not going to run it in the headless mode, so I leave this option as false for the headless. And then ChromeDriver path. Depending on which ChromeDriver is actually used in this package, and at the time of usage, whichever version of Chrome you are using, based on that you might need the ChromeDriver downloaded in your machine, and you can enter the path here. Currently this package uses the ChromeDriver version 92, and let me also show you where you can get the ChromeDriver and the EdgeDriver. Here is the URL for the ChromeDriver, and you can go to this downloads section and then download whichever version you are using. For example, the current Chrome browser version is 92, so you can download this file, and I have downloaded this into my local system. So let me just open this here, and then I'll copy the path along with the executable here and enter it in the A360 ChromeDriver path. Come here, I'll click on desktop file and enter this executable location. Next, let's use open page to launch the browser. I'll drag and drop this open page here, and then let's get the page URL which we are going to automate. we will switch back and paste the URL here. For demonstration purpose, I've already downloaded the CSV file. So let's just reference that CSV file and use it here. For that, I'll use the CSV package and use the open action here, and then the read action, and then the close action. So first, going to the open section, we will navigate to the location where the CSV file is available. I have the missing customer CSV file downloaded here. I'll copy the path, switch back and paste it here. And let's take a quick look at the data. This CSV file contains header, and then it also contains 7 rows of information. And we can refer to each of these columns either by the column name or by the index. We will use index for this demo purpose. I'll select the option called contains header. I'll click on save. And next, let's read the CSV file. I'll create a variable. I'll leave the default name as table from CSV. Click on create and select. And then we will also close this session since we have already read the data into a data table variable. Let's loop through each of the rows in this data table. So for that, I'm just going to drag and drop loop here, and then in the loop action, I'm going to select for each row in the data table. We'll select the table variable which we have created earlier, and let's just save it in a record variable. I'll click on this icon, and then I have a name called table row. This is good. I'll click on create and select. Click on save. Now let's switch back to our web automation package. First, we want to enter the data into the different fields available. Let's enter the data into the first field. For that, we will use the action called set value. I'll drag and drop this within the loop action, and then we want to read the JavaScript path for this particular object, that is the customer name. I'll click on F12 so that it opens up the Chrome Developer Tools menu. I'll click on this, select an element, and then I'm going to select the customer name field. So once you see the properties related to the customer name field is selected, right click and then go to copy, and then copy the JavaScript path. I'll switch back to my A360 and paste it here. And we want to enter the value into this particular field. For that, I'll use the variable which we have created earlier. I'll select this option, click on F2 and select table row, and index is 0 because that's the first column from which we want to read the data. I'll click on insert. And then this particular action, set value, it is also going to look for this particular object to see if it is first available on the web page we are trying to automate. And you can define timeout to tell the bot till how long you want it to wait. And also here is the attribute value which it will first look up to see if it is present, and then it will execute this particular action of entering the data. Class name is by default, it is available and it works fine, so we can leave it as is. If you think there is no class name or there is no unique class name available for that particular field, then you can use a different attribute value. But for this, I know that the class name works fine, so I'll leave it as is. Next, let's look at automating a drop-down. In this web page, the state is a drop-down. For that, we will use an action called select. Let's switch back here. I'll drag and drop this select action here. And we want to get the JavaScript path again. I'll go back here, right click on the state field and click on inspect. And now it identifies that particular element which has this ID called state, and there is also a name property state. I'll right click on this and copy the JavaScript path and switch back here and enter the JavaScript value here. Now we want to enter the value to be selected in the drop down. For that, just look at the index available in the CSV file. Let's check the index here, 0. Because this is a 0 based index, that's why we will have to be sure that we are selecting the right column. Otherwise, it will pick up the incorrect column. So index 0, index 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So let's select the index 5 here. I'll click on F2 and select table row and index as 5. Click on yes, insert, and we'll leave the timeout as 0 and the class name is also okay. So now we have automated two types of elements. The first one is a text box in which we are entering the data, and the second one is selecting the value from the drop down, that is the select action. And next we will look at how we can automate a radio buttons. For that, we will use the action called click, and let's get the JavaScript path for that particular radio buttons. I'll right click on this yes radio button and click on inspect, and then here I'll right click and copy the JavaScript path. Switch back here and enter the JS script path we just copied from the Chrome developer tools. Next, let's look at how we can click on a button. For that, I'm again going to use the click option here. I'll drag and drop the click. Let's go and get the JS script path. We'll come back here. This time, let's select the DevTools page here, and then I'll click on select an element, and I'll come and click on this particular register button. And now it'll identify the particular properties for this element. I'll right click, click on copy, and then click on copy JS path. Switch back to Automation 360, and then I'll paste the JavaScript path here. Click on save. So now we have automated different kind of elements, and to show you if this bot is able to enter all the data into these fields, for now I'll just disable the last action that will click on the register button. So I'll disable this, and since we just want to try it for one row only, I'll break from this loop and show you how the data entry looks like. For that, I'll use the break action from the loop. Drag and drop it here. Next, let's add an action to check the checkbox. For that, I'm going to use the action called check. I'll drag and drop it here. And let's get the JavaScript path for the checkbox. I'll open this browser and my Chrome developer tools. Select this, and then I'll identify this particular checkbox. I'll right click on this properties and then copy the JavaScript path. And let's switch back to Automation 360 and enter the JavaScript path here. And here is the field which will define whether you're going to select the checkbox. If you leave it as false, then that means it is not going to be checked. If you select it as true, that's when it is going to click on that checkbox. Let's click on save and let's click on run. Now you will see that it's going to launch the browser, enter the data into the customer name field, and then it'll select the value in the state dropdown. It'll select the radio button, and then it'll select the checkbox for the NDA agreement. And now let's look at the results. As you can see here, the customer name is entered, the drop-down value is selected, the radio button is selected, and the checkbox is selected too. Let's enable the action to click on this register button, and we should be able to see that it is able to identify how many elements did we add. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it should say correctly submitted fields as 4. So I'll close this browser instance and enable this particular click on register action, and then I will click on save and execute this bot again. So here you have the flexibility to enter the JavaScript path, or you can even select any of the other selectors as well. Say for example, if you want to use XPath, then you can also define the function library in the start session action, and then you can execute that as well. Let's check the results here. As we can see, it has correctly submitted the fields 4 out of 10. So that's what we automated here. So there is a lot more to learn in this web automation package, but these are a couple of the actions which you would need to solve these challenge pages. I hope you will enjoy using this web automation package and create your bots, and which can run at a very high speed. To wrap up, this web automation package can help you automate web pages that are very dynamic or even have HTML elements like shadow root. And then you can also run this in headless mode. That means the browser will not even be visible to the end user. However, since you can run this in headless mode, you cannot use this in conjunction with the recorder package, as they cannot share the sessions between these two different packages. And it can also help you in automating enterprise applications like Salesforce or ServiceNow in a much more reliable way. I hope you enjoyed the session. Thank you and go be great.